We are here at the Inland Northwest Space Alliance in Missoula. INSA is a nonprofit organization that was formed to promote economic development and create aerospace opportunities for Montana and the Inland Northwest. One of our missions is to provide outreach and education opportunities to students. Today we have the Leadership Missoula group, I think it's number 10, and their class has come to INSA to study leadership skills and communications. And to facilitate that, we developed a program that involves systems integration for a potential space mission. So this morning they met with the president and they briefed the president on why they feel the NASA budget should be approved. And then this afternoon they're going to be working in teams to decide how much mass each team needs and balance that with their available budget. And then this afternoon they will launch a rocket. And the goal is to get their rocket to a certain altitude based on the weight. And if they're successful, then their mission was a success. The scene that you're about to see has the students, they've just recently met in groups and they decided their main reasons why they feel the president should approve their budget. Then they decided who would be the speaker for each of those groups. And they spoke and met just briefly about it in advance to prepare their arguments. And we brought the president in. And they only had 15 minutes. We made it very brief to simulate a real-life situation where a person may be able to meet with the president, but only for a few moments. And they went ahead and gave their arguments to the president.
Ready? Time's up. All right.
Stand up.
The President of the United States.
Hello, everyone.
George Bailey.
Go ahead and sit down, you guys. Thank you for that warm Montana welcome. I'm here, and I know you guys don't have a lot of time. I'm in the middle of a lot of different things, and what I need you to help me with, you're the future of our great country, and I'm so glad that you're taking this opportunity to build your leadership skills, but we need to make some crucial decisions in this country soon. I'm asked all the time, should we be putting more money in AIDS research and supporting AIDS vaccinations in Africa? There's world hunger, there's poverty in our own country, and then there's issues like space. And I'll be real honest with you, I've been excited about NASA and the whole space movement since I was a kid, but our country has a lot of different demands placed on it, and I need some help from you. You're the future of our country. If we do, as I see the space program, it's for the next generation. There's a lot of good things the space program has done for us, but I need you to help me and the policymakers, my cabinet, decide how to prioritize. So I think you've been prepared by your mentors to give us some kind of overview of why we need to do space. That's the question that we're posing today. So if anyone is prepared to speak to that, I'd love to hear from you.
We are.
Okay. Sorry. Here. Go for it.
Okay.
Okay. One of the major problems that we have seen in the world today is the problem with fuel. Recently, the rise in oil prices has been greatly, and we're supposed to be running out of oil pretty soon. So one of the major discoveries that some of the past space programs has found is that on the moon, there has been helium-3 found, which is able to create fusion. Now, fusion would be able to help our society create cheap and clean electricity and power to hopefully the poor, so then we'd be able to help both the low-income family and everyone else. So instead of having nuclear waste or running out of our fuels, we would be able to do that. So by advancing...
Isn't there a byproduct? I've only been briefed partially on this, but isn't there some negative effects?
Fusion is hard to create, and it is expensive in the world itself to actually get the helium-3 to create the fusion itself. But on the moon, helium-3 is abundant because it has no atmosphere. And therefore, it should be cheaper on the moon to be able to create the fusion and then be able to hopefully harness it and bring it back to the US and to the world and then be able to cheaper create fuel. So that is one major.
Does anybody in the know about launch costs? My advisors are telling me that one of the current problems that our country has is that it's extremely costly to get things into orbit, and you know, I'm sure you're very aware of the Columbia disaster, and we're trying to get the shuttle fleet another flight. But have you studied any kind of launch costs ideas?
If we get more gas from, example, the moon where there's a lot of helium-3, then it'd make all the gas cheaper, which for all the countries, if we all had that access to that, then that would make the gas cheaper, which would put more money into the economy, which would put more money to like space exploration. And since the gas would be cheaper, then it could lead, the money, the excess money could lead to bigger technology advances and making that gas not as much needed in a launch.
So clearly, so I'm understanding, we could support the high cost of launch, space launch, based on a small amount of this material would be valuable then to replace some of the cost of, the high cost of it.
It will be a great investment for the U.S. because in the beginning it will be high cost to be able to get up and do that. But once we have involved the program to be able to effectively bring back the fusion that has been created to get the energy, then hopefully we'll be able to help stop all the problems with the poor in the United States not having the heat or any of that during the winters, and all the other problems that we are having with lack of fuel right now. And so it is an investment for the United States to now start that, and it'll pay off in the end.
Have you guys done any cost-benefit analysis of what we're paying for heating? Because we do, as you probably know, have a program that supports low-income homes, the heating of them. And so one of the things, if you haven't done that, as you're moving through today, I'd like to see some of that information. But that's a very interesting proposition that we could take some of our known costs, the heating of these low-income homes across the country, and maybe reduce that cost and put more money into the space program, because that's the way it works. If we don't have money, we can't. We always get accused in the United States of just printing money. But my administration is committed to spending only the money that the taxpayers in this country have okayed and not overspending our budget. So that's a good thing. Is there any other benefits that you guys have seen other than reducing energy costs in the country for doing space launches or the space program?
Investing in the space program would make more jobs, which also, like fuel, would help the economy because more jobs, especially high-paying jobs, would make more money available for trickle-down economics and make smaller businesses get more money in it. And also, like the fuel, since the fuel itself would help pay for the space program, then it makes sense. Also, advanced technology. And like we were told earlier, the stuff that helped in the Apollo space program we see today, like sunglasses and medical field. And so funding the space program would make new technology available, and that would make more businesses come up in this technology, more money for the economy, and more things available for people to buy. And
Technology.
Yeah.
One of the issues in this trickle down, that was a past administration. My administration, we want to be cost-effective managers of the people's money, but we do believe that investing in education is a key role of our charter to serve the people of the United States. So does the space program have any value to students like yourself in helping you decide what kind of careers? Is there real interest in a group like this in maybe being involved as an aerospace engineer or a payload?
We actually have one girl
Okay.
in this group one or two girls in this group who actually are interested in doing aerospace engineering. And there is a lot of people in here who are also looking into doing medical, which is also something that would be affected by having a better space technology program, because the technology that we learn through these things comes into play in everyday life, be it in medical or our sunglasses and the way things are built, the Kevlar and just like everyday things are affected by the space program and things we take for granted. And there's a lot of people in here who are into the biochemistry, the space engineering, and engineering in particular that will come out of having funding from things that are found during the space program.
I'd like to hear from Teresa then. Why are you interested in a career in aerospace and the whole space? What would you like to do with your career?
I'd like to design space vehicles, mostly. It's just a fascinating thing for me. I don't know how it's really going to help with your... It's more of a personal thing. I've always been fascinated by space and the idea of exploring and finding other things. So.
Well, and that's part of my own personal interest, and we're very much in need of a crew exploration vehicle right now. The new NASA administrator, Michael Griffith, we're trying to figure out a way to move from the shuttle platform, which we think is somewhat outdated and we have safety issues. We're trying to work through the safety issues, but we need a cost-effective method of going into low Earth orbit and then potentially beyond, because if we are going to go and do some potential mining of this moon surface, we can't just do it with our current technology. Is anyone interested in the biomedical? Because I don't know if that was talked about, but my folks from NASA are briefing me that this whole world of microfluidics and the nanotechnology that they're developing around some of the space program holds huge potentials for unlocking information about how we cure or work on curing diseases. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or if anyone has any information about that?
We'd actually talked about that, and like with the advanced technology and possibly being able to do universal space launches and like travel outside the universe and find other elements that could help cure such diseases and benefit like humankind.
Well, the international word triggered another question I want to ask the group that I'm posed with. Should we try to do this only as the United States, or similar to what we did with the International Space Station, should we be trying to do a co-op effort with other nations? I have advisors saying to me I should focus more on putting the money into programs that are giving our country exclusive leads versus internationally. So does anyone want to give me any input on that side of the...
Well, the benefits of doing it internationally is then we will have a larger pool of money to be able to hopefully succeed in this program, first of all. The other benefit is hopefully we will unite humankind in the common cause of trying to find and explore the greater part of our universe. And one of the major things in the world today is we're running out of fuel, and the universal cause of trying to find cheap ways to create energy is a major thing. So there will definitely be international support to try and find that. So I believe, and I believe most of the people in this group also, that it should be an international cause to try to be able to go out and discover things that will help humankind and further benefit mankind as it.
Also, going on to that, the entire world is being overpopulated, and so going into space could be finding places for people to live. And it's not just America that's being overpopulated, especially because we're one of the people who have the most space available to us. Humans are there are 10 times the amount of humans than there are natural resources to support them. So if we go into space, we can hopefully find natural resources to support the population.
Well, and this whole energy business is a huge portion of how the world, not only the United States, but I know that China and India, as they become more modernized and their people are wanting cars, that part of the whole problem with the world energy supply is it's not only the United States anymore being the only consumer of the product, but the international approach, I do have people in my administration that are saying to me maybe we should go more on the U.S. leading this and moving less out of the international. Has there been any problems in your, I'm told that there are some problems with some of the international space station. From your experience or your knowledge, is there problems working with an international approach?
There's always going to be a problem with working with an international approach, because no matter where you go, there's going to be a difference of opinions, no matter if it's internationally or just nationally. There always is going to be a debate on whether something is right, because someone's always going to feel that they're getting cheated out of something small, whether it be how much weight they get to have on the International Space Station, or how much time they get to spend on the computer. There's always going to be a debate between whether or not somebody's getting what they feel is due to them, and doing it internationally. There will still be obviously some kind of a disagreement, but it's not something we can't work through if we're trying to if we're trying to increase international compassion and work together. It's something that's gonna have to be done. And
What do you think about international space station program?
I know there's been problems, but I would agree that I think that one of the issues that we need to do is work on a more global understanding. So we have a mission directed approach. This next generation of the International Space Station, the free flyers, maybe we can work out some of our problems of how we share not only potential energy sources from the moon and other planets, but also internally, our globe. And so I guess with that, I think my time here, don't ever be president. You get scheduled to the max. It's a fun job, but it's have no time for yourself. But I have another engagement I have to go to. But what I am getting out of this discussion is that overall there is support in this group, which I really value the leadership and the knowledge that you're bringing to the equation. And again, a lot of these technologies that we're trying to develop, we're not developing them necessarily for my generation. It's for your generation, because they have a 10 to 20 to 30 year development cycle before they become commonplace. And so if you're putting value, the one thing that I will say to you is that we have to run this program like a business. I can't just give you a blank check. I've got to minimize the risk. So as you're doing your work today, I need to be assured that you're going to hit a 40% risk factor, and I know the folks from NASA are going to explain all that to you if they haven't already. And I have to have a cost containment. One of the problems that we ran into with the International Space Station, as I've looked at it as I inherited that program, is they said they could do it for certain amounts of, certain costs, and we had these cost overruns. And that's the last thing that I want to hear, is that as we move forward, if we commit to a program, and I'm going to commit $40 billion to this program, but I want to make sure that we have some results at the end. I always believe, like I said earlier, that I work for the American people. They work hard for their money. They give their money to the government in the taxes they paid. They don't want it squandered. And so when you're looking at, should we do this or should we do this, I want you to go to find the practical applications. And I was very impressed this morning on the first one, because energy is a huge crisis issue, as I see in the immediate term for my presidency. And if there was some possibilities of deferring some of the heating costs and the money that we're putting out as a government for heating costs, maybe not even in the short term, but in the long term, that would show the investment. So a lot of times these rocket science types always want to go off in some kind of whimsical direction, and I'm hoping you will help them, guide them to the practicality.
And also, Mr. President, as you said, you are for helping the American people, and in the long run, by not having the terrible fumes that are let off by producing the oil and different things, we will help our ozone, hopefully, and be able to create that fusion where we don't have to.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave, but I'm very happy to have this meeting with you, and I do like the international, because as a country we can control what happens on our borders, but we are an international global society, and so whatever happens in China and India and all the other countries are important to our well-being with the fumes. So proceed. Again, thank you so much for taking this leadership role, and I'll be very interested to hear what the end of the day, the results at the end of the day. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Woohoo! Yeah, no, leave it there.
What you've just seen today is just a few minutes of the exciting day that we have planned for the Leadership High School group. We are really excited about our systems integration program. We think that it teaches leadership skills not just to high school students, but to potential corporate training model as well. And we feel like this training will provide them with opportunity to be leaders of tomorrow.